What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be looking at Zach Hyman and Frederick Andersen. Now, a lot of what the Toronto Maple Leafs have done in the offseason has been because of the fact that these two guys moved on. Of course, their contracts are off the books. There was no raise for Zach Hyman. There was no other contract for Freddie Andersen. He almost got the same deal that he got previously in Toronto. Is this the right move with these guys moving on and going past them? Now, that's something that I'm going to try to answer and give my opinions on, but this is another video where I want to turn it over to you guys in the comments. Now, you could watch the full video and give your opinion, or you could just give your opinion now in the comments, but I'd really appreciate it if you did watch this video, and also like this video and subscribe if you are new here. I know there's a ton of people that don't subscribe when they watch. That's okay, but it's free. And I'd appreciate it if you keep coming back to watch. Clicking subscribe or just liking the video really does help a lot. Doing both helps even more. So also thank you to all the new subscribers recently. I genuinely do appreciate it. But let's get right into this. So obviously losing Zach Hyman is huge, and losing Freddie, we can get to that in a second. But Freddie's been a major part of this team until he kind of slipped a little bit when it came to his numbers, but we'll get to that. Starting with Hyman, he's been huge. He's been a part of the group of young guys that came up at the same time to try to take over this league. You know, the Toronto Maple Leafs trying to come up with all these young guys at once to try to show that a young core could go out there and be a successful playoff team. Well, we've seen that they're not very successful in the playoffs, but Hyman coming to Toronto for basically, I think it was McKagan, like a conditional seventh. Like, the Leafs got a very, very good deal. Like, that was a pretty amazing trade. And I believe Dubas made that while he was still just coming on to help Brendan Shanahan and company. I don't think that deal was made by anybody else. But Hyman was a part of the Matthews Nylander line right away, and they looked awesome. Obviously, he played with Matthews and Marner, and he looked like he was going to be a successful Leaf for a really long time. He wanted to play here. He was from around here. And I say around here, I live an hour away from Toronto, but I mean in the sense of like just the Toronto fan base and the team, and this is where he wanted to be. And the contract that he got from the Edmonton Oilers was too rich for what the Leafs could pay. The Leafs went out there and signed a bunch of guys that could potentially replace him, but also to create depth. The Leafs can't sign another guy to a big contract. And I'll say this right off the bat. He's been a little injury prone. He's 29 years old. The Toronto Maple Leafs couldn't make this deal happen. Dubas was saying, okay, this is enough is enough. I can't pay a guy $5.5 million. That might not be healthy all year, but also isn't a top guy that should be getting paid that much money, because he's already paid his top guys. He wants to be able to surround his stars with cheaper guys, or guys that he can take a look at and hope for the best success. You know, if Hyman wanted in the $4 million range, obviously it's a different story. But let's just look at his numbers here, starting off with cap friendly. Like I said, that $5.5 million is a huge problem. Also, complete sidetrack here. Do you guys remember one of my videos from a couple weeks ago where there was that random movie trailer playing in the background on one of these ads? I got a copyright notice for that. So that was stupid. I should have noticed that right away, but that sucked. Anyways, $5.5 million for Zach Hyman. The problem is the term as well. He's got a no movement clause. He's got a modified no trade clause. $5.5 million. He's got some bonuses here. Guys, I'm sorry. I love Zach Hyman. He brings a lot of different things to the Toronto Maple Leafs, but the Leafs might have gotten or signed a couple guys that might be able to do similar things for a lot less money. So, are you going to get the same offensive production? Maybe not. Are you going to get that same happy, loving attitude? Maybe not. But if you can get the same grittiness and guys who can get the puck and guys who can kill penalties, the Leafs are probably okay with that, because this term is way too long. This guy's going to be in his mid-30s, past that, like getting $5.5 million. That's, to me, that just does not make a lot of sense. Now, this is what I wanted to bring up to you guys. His numbers, okay? So this is the 16-17 season. Look at these players. God, I miss these guys. Now, as you can see here, Hyman had 28 points in 82 games played. So this was the start of when Hyman's was like, okay, we got a player here. He can put up some points. He can get the puck, and he played a full 82. Then we come to the 17-18 season. You're starting to see a little more production. 40 points in 82 games played. All right, he's healthy again. 40 points. We got a real player here. He can score some goals. Now we got the 18-19 season. Again, Hyman, 41 points, relatively healthy in 71 games played, but still not a full 82, but relatively healthy, giving you 41 points. So good production. Then you come to the 19-20 season, and you see Hyman put 37 points up in 51 games played. Obviously, the season was shortened a little bit, but that's not full health. Now, that's good production for 51 games played, but he played 20 less games pretty much than other players. So you have to look at this and go, okay, yeah, he's producing, but again, injury problems. And that brings you to this season. 33 points in 43 games played, another shortened season, another season where he wasn't fully healthy, but he still gave you production. Over 82 games, I mean, the guy would have had 50 plus points. So this is a guy that can play when he's healthy, but are you willing to pay $5.5 million for a guy that you think might be a little injury prone and might not be a guy that can play away from stars? Because the Toronto Maple Leafs were trying for a little bit to have a line where it was just a shutdown line, where it was just a defensive specialist line, where Hyman was out there and you had Kerfoot and you had Mikheyev or like an Engvall or something like that, and try to get them just to shut down teams' top lines. But then they're like, no, put him back with the big guns because he's not going to produce there. So it's like, does it make sense for the Leafs to make that kind of move? Now, again, I'm going to say it a million times. I love Zach Hyman, and I wish they could have found a way to get this guy signed. But for what the Leafs are trying to accomplish in getting depth and getting guys that can do similar things to Hyman, but in different spots in the lineup, and being able to spread that money around, this makes sense. Zach Hyman wanted big money. He wanted long-term. The Leafs couldn't give a guy that they believed was not worth that type of money and that type of term. They just couldn't do it. And like I've said it 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 times already, I wish Zach Hyman nothing but the best. I hope he kills it in Edmonton. I hope he stays healthy the whole time, produces like crazy, and he might for the first couple years. I don't want to see people circling around and saying, haha, I told you so, he was fine. I hope so. And I believe for the next 2 to 3 years he'll be fine. But players similar to Hyman start to break down, and Hyman's already started to have injury trouble, but with the way he plays and the money he's getting paid, he might start to break down. And I hope that that's not true. I'm going to knock on wood, my desk right here. I hope everything goes perfectly well for him. I hope he scores 30 goals next year. I don't care what he does. I hope he's amazing. But for what the Toronto Maple Leafs needed to do and for what Zach Hyman needed to do, it wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work. And again, I have to address this before we move on to Freddie Andersen. Before whatever's going on in the world, because by the way, guys, if I mention what's going on, you guys know what's going on in the world right now. Everybody does. If I mention those things, for some reason they copyright my video and they say it's flagged for you can't talk about that. But let me just paint the picture for you guys. What's going on in the world in the last couple of years, what's been going on, okay? Before all that, the NHL was signing a deal with ESPN or whatever. They're signing a deal with Seattle to come into the league, and they were getting all this money, tons of money. And they were saying the salary cap in the next 2 to 3 years could shoot to the moon. From 81.5 to 84 to 87 to 91. That's what they were predicting. Imagine what the Leafs could have done with all that cap space. Imagine what any team could have done with that cap space. But because of what happened, there's a flat cap. Without whatever's going on in the world right now happening, Zach Hyman would still be a Toronto Maple Leaf. They would have all the money in the world to keep him. They would. But because of what's going on, they don't got the money. They can't do it. So that's just how it is. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. I wish him the best, and I hope he kills it, and I hope he makes a ton of money, which he is, and I hope it lasts him a lifetime. But for where Hyman wants to be and where Toronto wants to be, it wasn't going to work out. Now, Freddie Andersen. This is another big topic of discussion. The Leafs now have Campbell and Mrazek, who will be their tandem starters. I think they're going to do great. I think Campbell's going to be a fantastic 1A, 1B with Mrazek, and I really hope it works. He's taken a step. Freddie Andersen got paid $4.5 million by the Hurricanes back to the team he was originally drafted to before he went through the draft again and got drafted to Anaheim. But $4.5 million with a modified no-trade clause for 2 years. Now, with that blue line, Freddie Andersen might be fine, but the Leafs have a good blue line too. They just weren't going to pay $4.5 million for Freddie because his numbers have declined. His numbers haven't been as good. Now, maybe I'll pull those numbers up. He hasn't been as good. But you need to take a look at these numbers. 267, 918, 281, 918, 277, 917, 285, 909, but then 2.96 to 895. So you can see gradually he was getting worse. He wasn't playing that good. In the playoffs, mind you, the last couple years, pretty good numbers. He just couldn't get it done in Game 7. The first year he actually was really good against the Capitals. That this 17-18 season he wasn't very good, but these last 2 years, especially this, the 2019 series, he was really good against Columbus, but again, he just couldn't get it done in that 5th game. Freddie Andersen, and you can look at his numbers, you can go back to this original year, the 16-17 season. Freddie Andersen was like carrying that team. Like, obviously you had Austin Matthews, you had some of the young guys putting up points, but their defense was brutal for at least the first 2 to 3 years that he was in the crease for the Leafs. That blue line was garbage, utter garbage. They had no defensive stability. They had no defensive coverage. They had no depth. Freddie Andersen was being hung out to dry every damn game. Imagine, and this is where it comes back to Lou Lamoriello. People can crap on Dubas all they want, and you can say whatever you want. You're allowed to. It's an opinion. Dubas has made a lot of mistakes. He's also done a lot of good things, including that blue line. He's made this blue line fantastic over the last year or so. Lou Lamoriello never committed to getting blue liners for this team. Imagine if he would have got blue liners. Imagine if he would have got a solid blue line. With Freddie Andersen playing amazing, with the forwards doing their job, all they needed was a good blue line. All they needed was one or two, like one good piece, one middle of the pack Justin Hall type piece, and then a depth guy like Bogosian. That's all they needed. And they could have done it. They had the assets, they had the cap space because all the young guys were still on their entry-level contracts, but they never did it. He went out and got Boyle and Plekanec, and then he signed Zaitsev to a terrible contract and Marlowe to a terrible contract. He would not get good blue liners. He refused, almost. Freddie Andersen was saving their ass every night, and over the last couple of years, he hasn't been so good. But I'm going to show you one last thing before we end this video, okay? Games played. Freddie Andersen is 6th all-time in Leafs history. Now, keep in mind, some of these numbers, like 87 games played, 28, 32, these are small sample sizes. But, like, you go goals against average, he's down the list a little bit. But the thing is, there he is. 2.79, 18th all time. But then again, look at the games played. So all these goalies with like small numbers here, none of those count in my opinion. So he's like up in the top 13 or 10, whatever it is. Save percentage, again, 7th. But look at 65 games played, 28, 32. So he's up in the top like 5 again. Wins. 4th all time in wins for Leafs goaltenders in the regular season with 149, and he did it in 268 games played. So that's more impressive than Potvins numbers, and I love Felix Potvin, but he played way more games and almost had the exact same amount of wins. We've got the legends, Johnny Bauer and Turk Broda, ahead of him. These are bona fide Leafs legends. Frederick Andersen is a Leafs goaltending legend, and I'm going to get so much crap for that. But Freddie deserves a lot more credit than he's being given. Has he been not so great for us in the last couple seasons? Yeah. But guess what? When guys are good, they need to be appreciated. When Phil Kessel was here and he was playing with scrubs, he wasn't appreciated. I appreciate him. I had a damn Phil Kessel jersey. I cheered him on every year. I love the guy. He's an all-star. But he didn't have the support. They didn't give him any support. Same thing with Dion Phaneuf. He went from being a top 4 guy in Calgary to being named the captain in Toronto. These are missteps by management. These are missteps. And I'm not about to put Freddie Andersen's name into that. He's a legend. He's a goaltending legend for Toronto. Whether you want to realize it or not, this team is going into a different direction, but guys like Zach Hyman and guys like Freddie Andersen need to be respected and known as guys that played their heart out for this team. And there better be a damn tribute for both of them. There better be. So let me know what you guys think down below. God, this video is 16 minutes long. I'm sorry. I went on some rants there, but I appreciate you guys as always. Love and appreciate you guys as always. And make sure to leave some comments, like, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.